A magnitude 8.8 earthquake and a tsunami of 3 to 4 meters has been recorded in Russia's Kamchatka Peninsula.
It happened quietly in the far reaches of the Pacific, but the ripple effects were felt across the world. A powerful earthquake measuring 8.8 on the Richter scale struck off the coast of Russia's Kamchatka Peninsula. It was one of the strongest recorded in over a decade, and the largest anywhere on Earth since 2011. Within minutes, alarms began to sound in coastal towns thousands of miles away. In Hawaii, sirens echoed through the night. Families were urged to leave their homes near the shore. On the U.S. West Coast, from Alaska to California, tsunami warnings and advisories were issued. In Japan, over 2 million people were told to evacuate. And in Russia, as if the earthquake wasn't enough, a volcano erupted, spewing lava down its western slope. For many of us, this story brings back memories. Memories of 2004, of 2011, of disasters we thought we'd never see again. But here we are, once more reminded that nature does not ask permission, it acts. This is not a dramatic thriller or a theory to debate. This is real. A series of natural events, each triggering another and stretching across continents. And while no major casualties have been reported so far, thankfully, the story isn't just about what happened. It's about how quickly things changed, how prepared we truly were, and how little warning people actually had. Tonight, we take a closer look, not just at the earthquake, but at the chain of events that followed. The warnings, the evacuations, the response, and the relief. Because when a quake of this size strikes, the world holds its breath. And in those moments, what matters most is not how strong the shaking was, but how ready we are when it comes again. The earthquake. What happened? On a quiet Tuesday evening, deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, the Earth shifted in a violent and historic way. At 8:23 p.m. local time, a massive magnitude 8.8 earthquake struck off the eastern coast of Russia's Kamchatka Peninsula, one of the most geologically active regions on the planet. The quake's epicenter was located approximately 85 miles offshore under the cold waters of the Northwest Pacific and occurred at a depth of about 17 miles below the surface. That combination, shallow depth and high magnitude, is exactly what makes an earthquake more dangerous and more likely to trigger a tsunami. The U.S. Geological Survey, USGS, the official earthquake monitoring agency in the United States, confirmed the measurements within minutes. Seismographs around the world picked up the tremors, and experts quickly recognized it as one of the top 10 strongest earthquakes recorded globally since 1900, and the most powerful the world has seen since the devastating 2011 Japan quake and tsunami. The Kamchatka region itself is no stranger to seismic activity. It sits atop the Ring of Fire, a vast horseshoe-shaped zone around the Pacific Ocean where tectonic plates collide, generating frequent quakes and volcanic eruptions. But even for Kamchatka, this earthquake was extreme. In the immediate aftermath, emergency alerts were issued across the Pacific, not just in Russia, but in Japan, Hawaii, California, and even as far as Chile and Australia. Tsunami sirens sounded, flights were grounded, coastal communities prepared for the worst. Though the quake occurred in open ocean, its sheer force triggered a wide response. People were told to evacuate low-lying areas and move to higher ground. While much of the concern later proved precautionary, and no large-scale damage has been confirmed so far, the response reflected the seriousness of the event. Because when the Earth releases this kind of energy, we don't get a warning. We react, we adapt, and we remember how small we are when nature reminds us who's in charge. Immediate aftermath in Russia. While much of the world was watching the ocean, worried about waves and tsunamis, something else was unfolding back on land, and it was just as striking. In the hours following the 8.8 magnitude earthquake off the Kamchatka Peninsula, Russia's tallest and most active volcano, known as Klyuchevskaya Sopka, erupted. Towering over 15,000 feet, this massive volcano has long been part of the rugged Kamchatka landscape, often sending smoke and ash into the sky. But this time, the eruption seemed more intense, and the timing was hard to ignore. Cameras positioned near the volcano captured dramatic footage. Lava flowing down its western slope, glowing red against the dark backdrop of the mountain. Steam and ash clouds rose high into the sky. It was a vivid reminder that in this part of the world, earthquakes and volcanic activity often go hand in hand. Geologists were quick to point out that while it's difficult to confirm a direct cause and effect relationship between the earthquake and the eruption, the connection is possible. In regions like Kamchatka, where the Earth's crust is already under pressure, a large earthquake can act like a trigger, shifting underground rock, cracking chambers, and setting volcanic systems in motion. The Kamchatka Peninsula lies on the edge of the Pacific Plate, one of the most active tectonic boundaries in the world. It's a place where the Earth is constantly moving, and sometimes violently so. For local communities and scientists, these natural events are not unexpected. But the combination of a massive earthquake followed so closely by a volcanic eruption was enough to raise serious attention. As the world focused on tsunami alerts and rising seas, Russia found itself dealing with fire and ash, as well as water. U.S. response and impact. When a major earthquake strikes anywhere in the Pacific, the United States watches closely. And when it's a quake as powerful as the one that hit off Russia's Kamchatka Peninsula, every second matters. As data from the 8.8 magnitude earthquake came in, tsunami alerts were triggered across the Pacific, including in several parts of the United States. The first to respond was Hawaii. Across the islands, sirens began sounding within minutes. Emergency officials advised residents to evacuate low-lying coastal areas, move to higher ground, or shelter above the fourth floor of buildings. Roads filled with cautious drivers heading inland. Families packed up quickly, unsure of what might come. It was a tense few hours, especially during the early hours of the morning when visibility was low and anxiety was high. Fortunately, the waves that eventually reached Hawaii were far smaller than feared. At a morning press conference, Governor Josh Green called it a great relief, noting that no wave of consequence had struck the islands. Still, he praised the public for responding quickly and the emergency services for acting fast, a reminder that preparedness saves lives, even when the danger doesn't materialize. On the U.S. West Coast, officials also took action. Tsunami advisories were issued for California, Oregon, Washington, and Alaska. In California, areas including San Francisco, Monterey, Los Angeles, Ventura, and Santa Barbara were placed on alert. People were urged to stay off beaches, avoid piers, and prepare for possible flooding. In Crescent City, a small coastal town near the California-Oregon border with a tragic history of tsunami losses, waves reached 3.5 feet. By midday, all U.S. tsunami warnings and advisories were lifted. Flights that had been paused, including some from Hawaiian Airlines and Alaska Airlines, resumed. Life slowly returned to normal. In the end, the impact was minimal, but the threat was real, and for many, it was a sobering reminder. Nature doesn't need to strike twice to teach us to stay ready. Success of early warning systems. After the massive 8.8 magnitude earthquake off the coast of Russia's Kamchatka Peninsula, the effectiveness of early warning systems became strikingly evident. Within minutes of the quake, the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center, PTWC, issued a comprehensive alert to all at-risk countries, from Russia and Japan to the United States, enabling the successful evacuation of over 3 million people. UNESCO's Intergovernmental Oceanographic Commission, IOC, Global Early Warning Network, proved its efficiency by integrating data from a worldwide system of seismic stations, sea level monitoring posts, and underwater sensors, allowing warnings to be issued in under 10 minutes. This swift coordination saved countless lives across Asia, the Pacific, and the Americas. In Japan, the organized evacuation of roughly 1.9 million residents from coastal areas in Hokkaido and northern Honshu showcased the nation's preparedness and investment in public safety. On the U.S. West Coast and in Hawaii, alerts mobilized communities rapidly, later being lifted after confirming the waves posed no major threat. Global early warning systems have also benefited from community engagement and training initiatives such as the Tsunami Ready program, designed to ensure frontline readiness. This event underscores that advanced technology and international cooperation can form a protective shield against natural disasters, as the ability to detect threats and warn millions in time helped avert a large-scale tragedy. Potential damage at a nuclear submarine base. Satellite images revealed a clear shift in part of the floating pier at the Raibachi submarine base, appearing to have partially detached from its original mooring points. Analyses indicate that the damage resulted from a complete tear in the affected section, caused by the force of a tsunami wave that followed the earthquake. Despite the visible damage, the nuclear submarines remain in their designated berths, including vessels from the Oscar II, Beret, and Delta III classes. No injuries or operational shutdowns were reported, reflecting the base's ability to continue its military activities normally. A tugboat was observed operating near the damaged pier, suggesting that repair efforts began immediately. Additionally, an anti-drone net was seen installed over the missile loading platforms at the base, aimed at enhancing protection and reducing potential threats. So far, Russian authorities have issued no official statement regarding the incident. Meanwhile, military experts explained that the base's facilities are designed to withstand seismic events, and the submarines were not harmed thanks to the pier's ability to remain functional within safe operational limits, despite the noticeable displacement visible in the imagery.